What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Wizards Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. As much as we're coming off, the back-to-back wins by the Wizards, very tough one tonight. We know they're playing shorthanded in terms of not having, a couple key members in the front court. We raved about the job Kuz did last game against Miami, essentially having to play the five. The Grizzlies, while they're missing some folks, they didn't lack any aggression or whatnot on the boards tonight, and that's kind of where the game was won. They went on the glass 53-28. They built a 25-point lead at one point in this game. The bench production was crazy for Memphis, and then they closed things out late. Washington did fight back. They cut that 25-point lead down to 12, got it down to 6 at one point. Before we saw Luke Kennard kind of channel some moments he had as a member of the Clippers a couple years back, kind of just settled things down for the Grizzlies. They took care of business to win this game 109-97. Ray, your thoughts? I guess specifically in the second half with Washington, because I think the Grizzlies separated in the second quarter, and then it was just kind of watching the team try to fight and claw back into it, and another team kind of find their footing and holding them off.
Yeah, man, they were just second half. They were just undoing all their sins from the first half. They just dug too big of a hole to be able to climb out of. 53-28 on the boards is disgusting. You're not going to win a game getting out rebounded by 25. And then already you combine that with their defensive woes. That just spells disaster, man. And then the offense wasn't as fluid tonight. We had seen Trey Jones with some high volume games with assists, 15 assists here, 16 assists there. The ball movement just wasn't there tonight. That combined with them not playing defense, combined with Memphis just out hustling them and being more physical, this is a result you get. I think the physicality out the gate just kind of knocked the Wizards off their square, and they weren't able to recover in time. Like the first half, things just kept getting worse and worse. They went into the locker room at halftime and came back out, and kind of found their footing a little bit, but it was too late at that point. They just don't defend well enough to climb out of a hole that big, and they tried their hardest, just to to give them a little bit of credit for that, but that first half was it was too detrimental to their chances, and they weren't able to come back.
Yeah, that was a tough part for me is watching them fight and claw to get it down to 6, and then you just had a moment. You talked about in the chat a little while ago, just the moment like you're down 6 at that moment, it kind of changed things, and it kind of just it's a great way to I'm trying to find the right word. It just sums up like this season, right? Like kind of just being in those situations, just not executing. Washington gets a stop. It's Kuz and Poole on a 2-on-1 break. I don't know how they ended up in this place where it ended up being a turnover, but it did. That was a chance to cut that to 4, possibly 3 if it's an and one. It was almost like everything you could do wrong on that 2-on-1 was wrong. I would love to say it was great defense. It was just poor execution in the key moment, and it was something as simple as right. It was just a 2-on-1 break, and I think so they were down 6, under 5 minutes to go. They blew the 2-on-1 break with 4 minutes and 32 seconds to go. Those are those little momentum plays. You get something like that. It's not like the Grizzlies, John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. aren't out there. It's not like their closers or any of their significant, their big guns are available. Like they're not coming to close that game for you. So like who's to say if you capitalize that, Memphis makes a silly mistake, it's and one or what have you, that Memphis doesn't fall over themselves over the next couple minutes. But Washington did at that moment, and it was long enough for Memphis to kind of just regain its footing. And shout out to Luke Kennard for being the adult for Memphis at the moment. After that turnover, I think he had a couple buckets, couple passes, and then the Grizzlies were solid. And it was just time to, close the door and kind of settle them down. But it was helter-skelter there for a little bit because you watch another team that's not exactly, very good at winning per se, struggle late. Like you were up 25. And it was, it was touch and go there for the fourth quarter. I think in the fourth, I don't think the Grizzlies scored for the first 4 minutes of the quarter.
Mhm.
Nearly the first 4 minutes of the quarter, they didn't score. So it's not a veteran team. It's not a veteran team with a couple closers or something like that you were dealing with. Just those missed opportunities, man. I know we've been screaming about it all year, but those hurt. Again, this is another one where it was winnable despite what happened in the first half. Could you cut it to 6 with time?
Right.
You cut it to 8 before that. Like, it's in credit to them for fighting back, but there was no need to be in that hole. And you alluded to the rebounding. The second chance points was crazy. That's how the Grizzlies survived this game. It was literally second chance points. And then I think by the end of the third, the Grizzlies had 46 points off their bench by the end of the third. It's hard to win games like that. It's just hard to get the job done. Did you have anything else you wanted to add as it pertains just the game? Or did you want to you were ready to get into the player of the game?
Oh no, we can move on.
Okay. Like it was just tough, man. That 2-on-1 break hurt me deep.
Yeah,
I
I mentally checked out at that point. Like, come on, dog. So many options. Like,
I just didn't have
that's
that.
the way it ended. Like,
yeah, that's where I was at the end of the breakout. It's like I was cool with any type to not get a shot up on a 2-on-1 break is disheartening to say the least. One thing I wanted to add, credit to the Grizzlies defense. I enjoyed watching them fly around. I think they had like 7-8 blocks in this game. Trey Jemison had himself a night. Former Wizard Jordan Goodwin was over here as well. Former Wizards continue to get dubs against this team, some shape, fashion, form, no matter what other team that they are on. But player of the game, who'd you have?
Yeah, I went Trey Jemison, man. He came in averaging 4 point in a game. Had a cool 24 on 11 and 13, 6 rebounds. I mean, just taking full advantage of the Wizards being short-handed in the front court.
Yeah, he found out that they did not, in fact, have a center. Him at 6'11", 260 decided that we're going to be aggressive. Like you said, 11 for 13. He was unbothered for most of the night. Shout out to him and his activity, and it's a career night for him. So shout out to him for that. X Factor, they had a couple options as they had so many points off the bench tonight for Memphis.
Yeah, boy. Man, the rebounding and second chance points was the X factor.
Yeah.
Like you alluded to earlier, man. They got up, they got up 12 more attempts than the Wizards. And they shot poorly from 3, 45% from the field, which isn't terrible, but isn't great. But they got the 50-50 balls and got second chance opportunities, man. And, without that, like, they were up by 25 and the Wizards chopped it down to 6. If they don't get some of those extra shots, like, who knows what that looks like.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't shoot the ball well. It's just they almost got they got 2 or 3 chances per trip, and that's what it felt like, and that adds up over time. Something Carlos mentioned several times this year: defensive possessions don't end until you secure the rebound. Right? Something as simple as that. That was a problem tonight. Was that? It was literally that. They even turned the ball over 17 times. They just kept getting second chances. I guess my X factor, I can't even argue with what you said, honestly. I thought GG Jackson was huge tonight. I know Kennard had those moments late, which are very big as well. I just enjoy GG Jackson's activity all night long. Just felt like every time something was going on, you just heard GG Jackson's name. He did something. Tip the ball back in bounds, chase this ball down, tip out a rebound, get a bucket again. He went 1 of 7 from deep, but he was very, very impactful tonight. All right, we're gonna get into some of these comments. Where are we at? All right, Area 11T, one of the first in here this evening with the comments. Let me change this real quick. So keep that up. The first comment is, at this point, like, it's like, don't be that team. We got jokes tonight. Well played, sir. Well played. He followed it up with Keith should have just left the lineup that got them close. Instead, Kuz comes in and has 3 turnovers.
I mean, yeah, hindsight and all that. But I mean, you got to go with your guys. And it's not like Kuz was playing terribly up to that point. But yeah, those turnovers and when they happen definitely hurt a lot. And that's just something Kuz has got to get better about if he's gonna be in this position for this team.
Yeah, I'm with Ray with this one. Like, I get what you're saying, but he's one of the few that had it going tonight for the most part. 10 and 19 for the floor, only 4 3-point attempts, got to the line several times. My issue was just those turnovers and the time. Like, we've seen them have more than 4 turnovers in games. The time of those turnovers were just brutal, honestly. But again, that goes with the whole learning how to win thing, right? But I mean, you're probably not in this game if Kuz has a worse night.
Mm-hmm.
Just to leave that there. Only the Wizards could give up 24 and lose to the guy they had on a 10-day. Yeah, I don't have
he know what he up against. He saw them up close. It's like, time to eat, baby.
And feast he did. Feast he did. Also, what's up with them going away from guys who were doing well on offense? Where was Kispert in the fourth at Denny? Ray, before you chime in, I was gonna say I thought the Grizzlies in the second half kind of did a good job making sure Kispert didn't have airspace. I can't speak for anybody else, but I thought there was a concerted effort of you're not about to be a part of whatever the heck your team does to get back in this game. It just won't be you. Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, when teams, the Wizards aren't counter punchers. that's just what it boils down to. If a team makes an adjustment, then there's rarely a counter from the Wizards. And then some of that is just bad decision making. And again, a game like tonight where the ball was kind of sticking more than it has recently. And a guy like Kispert, who's really dependent on, getting his shots in the flow of the offense, that's just going to hurt his productivity.
And also in the Kispert thing, this is one of the few bad nights Tyus Jones had. How many nights we seen Tyus Jones, with the negative plus minus, especially something like a negative 17? He had a rough night. Like as Ray mentioned earlier, this guy we've been seeing over, especially during the last 2 games that they won, 14 assists, 16 assists, 1 turnover, very efficient offensively, and probably, the driving force behind the ball moving as much as it did in these last 2 wins. He had a rough night, man. I don't know if I don't think it's too hard to look at the rest of the roster. And there's not another like pure distributor on, that. There's not another distributor here. So, he has a rough night and he still had 9 assists, but, was it you, right? It says something about the margin of error they have, how razor thin it is. Like, I don't know how well they could deal with, like they can't even afford like a rough Tyus Jones night. They can't. There's not another distributor. Like, he had a bad night and had the most assists on the team. like a horrible night per his standards. At this point, what's going on? Blizzy Baby with the comment. At this point, it's not about the Wizards winning games. I just want them to keep competing. That's all I ask. You got that comment right.
Yeah, we've been asking for that for day one, man. Like we knew this team wasn't going to contend. Like, but what we've seen this season is just unacceptable. You know, there's been spots here or there when they actually showed a pulse, and that's all we ask, man, because that's 100% within your control. Just do that every night, and you know, and of course, you want to see good decision making and IQ and things like that, but the just blatantly not trying is inexcusable. So yeah, they, you know, with the last two wins and you know, even against Orlando, they, you know, they fought as hard as they could. Just Orlando had a spurt there in the fourth quarter to kind of open things up. And then they followed that up with the two wins. And then the second half from this game, like if they play like that every game, then and the results are what they are, it's nothing to complain about. But yeah, that just hasn't been the standard this season. And that's that's the frustrating part about it.
For sure. Especially in, you know, the last two games, you know, they're playing knowing that they're shorthanded. Inside, you know, Kuz had 7 boards, then he had 4. In those 2 wins, those dudes had both of those guys combined for more rebounds. In those wins, they're shorthanded, they can't afford it. Meanwhile, you know, we already talked about the very large number of rebounds that Memphis had in this game. Waiting for next season, yeah. I mean, we've been saying that all year. You take the positives you can and you move forward, right? Also, I like Denny, but he's got to get some type of off the dribble jumper, some moves going left, or at least use the post more. You want to take that one, Ray, or you want me to take that one?
You go ahead, man.
All right. I just gonna say it's one of them things, man. Like nobody here is a finished product. Like none of them. Like Kuz included, not finished products. And I just think that sometimes, like, you know, we've seen Denny with really good games. We've also seen Denny in games where, you know, he has some up and down moments, and some of that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure he does need to improve on some of that stuff. Also, you know, he still has time to improve on those things. So it's kind of something to keep in the back of your mind to see if he's able to progress, and you see it throughout the remainder of the season. Kyle Kuzma at this point is like, just don't be that team. Yeah, I'm not gonna let this go. Okay. Yeah, he's gonna have to live with that. But they're 11-54 with which, you know, a few days ago, you know, they had 2 less wins, man. So it is what it is. I don't know, like just that's where we're at, right? They got what is it, Houston next. Houston and Chicago.
Chicago.
Houston and Chicago next. And it's about not getting behind early. Like they can't afford to, especially with these bigs out. They just can't afford to either team. And I guess, you know, with unfortunately for, you know, for Houston, you know, no Sengun, but it's still another opportunity where Washington can't get up. They cannot afford to get out rebounded by very large margins. They can't. They just can't. This can't happen again in this manner. So hopefully they're able to get that shored up, and we'll see how they do against Houston and then Chicago. But we appreciate y'all checking in with us after the game, and we'll see you guys on Thursday night.